everyone, my name is Sara, and this video discusses SDG number 2, Zero Hunger. This goal aims to end hunger, achieve food security and improved nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture.
This is one of those goals that continues to get worse each year. For example, 23.3% of the world's population was affected by moderate or severe food insecurity in 2014. By 2018, it rose to 26.4%. Globally, 805 million people are undernourished. Children who suffer from hunger experience a variety of health issues, including stunting. Stunting is when a child has a low height for their age because of malnutrition, repeated infections, poor immune system and brain function, and poor social stimulation. Of 144 million children under 5 years old, 21.3% are impacted by stunting. South America and African regions are experiencing an increase in food insecurity. Famine is particularly an issue within South Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, and Nigeria. In these areas, 1 out of 9 people go hungry every night. Oddly enough, we actually have enough food globally, but the main problem is equal distribution. While there is enough food to feed everyone, many areas don't have enough money and land to grow food. According to the United Nations, undernutrition is impacted by climate change, conflict, locust crisis, and pandemics. Climate change puts pressures on local farmers and the supply chain. Droughts and floods can devastate communities that rely on agriculture for food and revenue. When harvest quality and quantity decreases, there are food price spikes and trading complications from weather events. According to the World Food Program USA organization, 70% of their budget goes towards resolving war conflicts. 60% of the hungriest people live in these zones. Buildings are destroyed, stresses the economy, increases competition for natural resources, and families are left homeless. Currently, 79.5 million people have lost their homes from conflict. Locusts is a type of grasshopper that causes harmful impacts to people and the environment. They are in large groups called swarms. Starting in 2019 across East Africa, the Arabian Peninsula, and India, locust outbreaks occurred and devoured local crops. For example, Kenya saw the worst plague in 70 years, where these bugs ate at least 70,000 hectares or 173,000 acres of land. Countries like Uganda and South Sudan, who are already fragile from lack of food, worry about migrating swarms. Preventative measures include spraying pesticides from planes and more research. Food insecurity was already increasing before COVID. 23.2% of the world's population was affected by food insecurity, which gradually increased to 26.4% by 2018. In addition, pandemics increases all of the above on this list. Because of the COVID virus, 132 million more people suffered from undernourishment in 2020 and an increase of child hunger by 14%. Developed nations also have hunger, but the reasons are different. We have a term called hidden hunger. This means people are getting enough food to eat, but the food has a lack of vitamins and minerals. Undernourishment decreased from 23.4% in the 90s to 13.5% in 2014, but many individuals do not have a proper diet. Another reason for hunger in developed countries is poverty. For example, 15% of U.S. households struggle to put food on the table. Americans do not suffer from food shortages, but many do not have the ability to buy food. Japan is a leading donor to the World Food Program to fight against hunger. Since 60% of food is imported, global food supply and demand is a constant concern. In 2008, it was such a concern that the G8 Summit, which is a gathering of world political leaders, held its 34th meeting in Japan called the Hokkaido Toyako Summit. This meeting is still listed as the largest G8 summit meeting ever held. Ironically, anti-hunger plans were not discussed often at this summit. Despite being a lead donor to fight global hunger, many Japanese citizens face hunger within their own country. Poverty, unemployment, and disability can be blamed. 15.7% of Japan's population lives under the poverty line, which increased after the COVID pandemic. This is explained in more detail under SDG 1, No Poverty. In a shocking survey in 2010, citizens were asked, in the last 12 months, how often have you or your family gone without enough food to eat? Of people aged 29 and under, 7.1% said often or sometimes. Like other developed nations, Japan has plenty of food. In fact, it's one of the leading countries in food waste. Yet, there are stories in the media of elderly people passing away from hunger in their own homes. That's why many people don't agree with the government providing aid to other countries during this difficult time. For example, Mainichi reported in May 2021 that Japan will give 437 million yen, or $4 million, in emergency aid to Myanmar through the World Food Program. Let's just say the comments under this article heavily disagreed with this action, since many Japanese people are experiencing hunger themselves. It's not uncommon for people to pay a daily fee to live in internet cafes. According to a 2012 survey, 16% of two-parent households have financial difficulty to provide enough food for their children. The number of single-parent households with finance struggles increases to 32%. Since 2018, the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries rose awareness by marketing food loss and discounted items. Some nonprofit organizations collect these foods about to be discarded and distribute to families in need for free. Thanks to the COVID pandemic, there is higher support for food banks. Participating convenience stores and restaurants can participate by providing leftover food to these banks. Some Sasebo residents hold their own personal food banks for children called Kodomo Chokudo. One food wholesaler called Kyowa Shoko Company helped start mottainai ingredients. Mottainai is a Japanese term to express regret over wastefulness. They want businesses who purchase products from Kyowa Shoko to give about-to-expire food to local children. They operate within Kyushu Island, including Sasebo. The Sasebo Central Hospital participates in a program called Table for Two. If you purchase a meal from their restaurant, they will donate 20 yen, or around 20 cents, from each meal to the World Food Program. As of November 2019, they have donated 1,466,400 yen, or around $13,400. The 5 targets for SDG 2 are ending hunger and improving access to food, ending all forms of malnutrition, agricultural productivity, sustainable food production systems and resilient agricultural practices, and genetic diversity of plant seeds and domesticated animals. But to end all forms of hunger by 2030, there needs to be support for local farmers and land access, promote sustainable agriculture, and invest in life-changing technology and infrastructures. Achieving zero hunger is unlikely by 2030. The United Nations says, "It is time to rethink how we grow, share, and consume our food. If done right, agriculture, forestry, and fisheries can provide nutritious food for all and generate decent incomes. At the same time, rural development can continue, as well as protecting the environment." Our natural resources are rapidly degrading. Climate change adds more pressure on resources we depend on. Many rural women and men can no longer make ends meet on their land, forcing them to migrate to cities in search of opportunities. The food and agriculture sector offers key solutions for development and is central for hunger and poverty eradication.